Hello guys, this is Fungal X2 here to bring you an episode 4 review of my love story, or Monogatari. So basically, last episode, as you know, they began dating Takeo and Yamato. And it, transitions into this episode. So basically, it begins with, Takeo and Tsunakawa walking to school, and he's doing the normal introduction, of how they're friends, and they've been friends since they were 3. Um, and then afterwards, they meet up with Yamato, and they're all sitting there eating, and her expression was really cute. When Takeo told her that every what she makes is really good, and she was telling him that she's really happy that he said that. So they're sitting there talking, and then Tsunakawa makes a comment that that they be acting the same way when they're older, which I thought was really funny, and then they were just them blushing was really awesome, and it was cute and everything. All right, so then we fast forward to them going to a park, and then Yamato asked Takeo, if they could take a selfie to have as her, background for her phone, which, he agrees. Takes them 2 takes, but they actually get the picture. And then she gets a phone call. It's basically Yamato's friends asking where she's at and everything, and, she tells them, that she's at the park with her boyfriend, and then that makes him happy. And basically, what's going to happen now is, they wanted to do a singles meet, so she asked Takeo to get, some of his friends to come, and which he did. He got 4 of them, including, Tsunakawa, and she brought her friends. So then, when the time actually came for them to meet up, they were like, "Oh, which one's your boyfriend?" And then they looked at him with a grim expression. To be honest, I mean, when I saw that scene, I could tell from the get-go that they weren't really too fond of Takeo, but they introduced themselves, and then they find it hard to believe that Takeo is Yamato's boyfriend. So then we fast forward to when they're eating and talking, and they're mingling, and then one of Yamato's friends says she has to go to the bathroom because her contact fell out, and then the other friend goes. So then some of Takeo's friends ask to sit with some of Yamato's friends, which happens, and they're having a good time, they're laughing and everything. And then it's been a while since her 2 friends came back, so Yamato wanted to go check on them, and Takeo agreed that he would go with them. And I thought this part was really messed up. Around the corner, they stopped to hear 2 of Yamato's friends, basically saying how they feel about Yamato being with Takeo, and how he's so big and he looks like a gorilla and everything, and they were just bad mouthing him, and then that made Yamato really upset, which is quite obvious. I mean, if you're gonna talk about somebody that you think you're friends with talks about your boyfriend or girlfriend like that, you're obviously gonna be upset about it. So in retaliation, she got upset and she ran away crying. And Takeo, being the manly man he is, ran after her, and he caught up, and told her it was okay and that his feelings were hurt, and she said she was really sorry. Her friend said bad things about him, and he took this, he took what her friend said with a grain of salt. I mean, he didn't care. All he cared about was how Yamato felt, and then he was saying, that there's different people in the world. The fact that there's different people in the world was how he was able to meet Yamato, which made her really happy. And she was like, "I really like you. I really like you." And then, they're walking back to the cafe, and then you see an explosion out the window. Now, when this happens, I'm like, "Oh, okay, some stuff's about to go down." So, basically, what happened, you see Sunakawa with a crowd of people coming out, and he's like, a fire randomly broke out, and that he called the firefighters, but nobody responded, or nobody came there yet. And then you see three of Yamato's other friends saying, that her two friends didn't come back from the bathroom yet. So, of course, Takeo, being the man he is, he pours a bucket of water on him, and he's like, stay here, I'll go get them. I'll save your friends. So he runs in, and he quickly, finds one of her friends. It was really quick, like not even 10 seconds. Breaks the door in, saves her. But then he has, I believe the other friend was a bit further in. So he saves her, and then goes after the other friend. But the other friend's in an even worse situation, because she's in a room completely covered by fire, and things are falling from the ceiling. And, the whole room's falling apart. And, before she gets crushed by something, he saves her and asks her, can you stand? And can you stand? And then she's like, yes. And then he was like, go. And he kept telling her to go. Like, the girl looked like she was worried, but, obviously he was saving her. So, then she got out, so that makes 2 out of 2 friends saved. And then her friend was, telling her, like, I'm fine, but your boyfriend might be in trouble. He saved me, but he stayed behind. And then, you could tell that she was really gonna lose it at that point. That Yamato was gonna lose it because, just hearing that her boyfriend is stuck in flames. And then, Takeo, you see him, getting crushed by some things in the fire. Sorry about that, that was my phone vibrating, but anyways, you see him getting crushed and still in the flames, and then he goes on to say, or goes on to reminisce about, how much he really likes Yamato, and that, he would be happy, to die, like how this was, but obviously, he can't die, he's a beast, so basically, he gets a phone call from Sunakawa, and you can hear Yamato in the background, screaming his name, and saying, her friends to let her go to go get him. And Sunakawa's, like the slide bastard he is, Sunakawa's like, so your girlfriend's ready to jump into the flames, and that life would be a lot boring without you in it. Basically, tell him like you need to live and to get out of there fast. So with hearing this, he doesn't want to make, Yamato cry again. He wants to, make her happy. All of a sudden you see, this scene was awesome, but all of a sudden you see him jump out the window and, in a blaze of glory, and then he's like, I'll make Yamato happy, I'll live. And then, I don't understand how he's okay from jumping from 2 stories while being on fire. I mean, that's anime logic, anyways. So he jumps out the window into a tree, and then he lands on his feet like a badass. And then, then he, gives Yamato the thumbs up, like he's fine. You don't have to worry about me, I'm fine. And then she started to cry, and then, they started hugging each other. And then what was really funny about this scene, like, they're embracing, and then Sunakawa's like right behind them, like trying to brush off the fire with his backpack, and it's like, oh, don't worry, even though you're on fire, continue hugging your girlfriend. So I thought that was really cool. The one thing I didn't like about, the series of events, sorry, my phone's gonna vibrate again. Anyways, what I didn't like about the series of events is, the one friend that he saved, the first one he saved, she's like, I felt like I got carried by a gorilla, and it's like, really? Like, you're really gonna say that about your friend's boyfriend? Not only did he save you, but he risked his life to save your other friend, and yet you're gonna say something as low as that? Like, I didn't really like that. But anyways, back to the, what happened in the episode. So, after the whole thing went down, Yamato's friends thanked Takeo, and, he gave them an expression like, no problem, it's okay. and then all 5 of them blush at the same time. So you know like, oh my god, he's really cute after all. That was their thoughts. But then they're like they couldn't believe it, and they didn't want to believe it. So that happened, and then basically ended with her walking her friends home, and then Takeo and his boys they're walking home with Suikawa, and then you see a text message that she gets that Takeo gets from Yamato saying thanks for everything today, and with hearts and everything, and then he says spring's really good, and then that's where it ends. And then next week's episode is going to be called I'm Dent, which, I mean, obviously something else is going to happen. But anyways, that was my episode 4 review of my love story. This is VonGoX who's signing out. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you tune in next week. Bye-bye. Take care, guys.